Hi, Occult Sab, and I'm here to talk about some important tips for when you begin giving tarot readings. So, I've already made a beginner's guide, introductory guide to the tarot, and there are a lot of things that could probably be said, but a little bit of time has passed. And as I've practiced tarot, as I've studied it, as I've given readings for fun to myself and to others, there's some things that I noticed that I think are quite valuable to talk about. So, the first tip being be prepared to be honest, be prepared to give bad news. Okay, tarot isn't always about happy go lucky news. Sensitive information comes up during readings. People come with very sensitive, introspective questions, with very personal questions. Don't tiptoe around sensitive information. Just say it full bollocks, just say it. I've had to give bad news like be careful with your vices, you're overindulging, your relationship is not working out. The situation right now is just prolonging the inevitable. When you start giving tarot readings, it is incredibly important that you feel okay and confident enough to give bad news, because good news is not always going to come up, and that's life as well. Number two, be confident when you give readings. Of course, this is very difficult to do when you're just learning tarot, but if you have a knack for tarot, you'd be surprised like just how naturally the words come out. If you are insecure, if you doubt yourself too much, if you don't feel comfortable using your voice during a reading, that's really also going to hinder the session and also hinder the information that you're going to give this other person. You have to be pretty confident in yourself. The only way to become confident in giving tarot readings is to practice it. So even if it's just with yourself, start to learn how to trust your intuition, your interpretation, and your reading of the cards. Okay, if you're giving strangers and people that you don't know very well readings, have a conversation with them first. This is the third tip. Have a conversation with the strangers that want a reading from you. So I've learned this the hard way when giving readings to people that I actually kind of knew, worked side by side with for months, but we weren't friends. Even with people, acquaintances, with people that you don't know very well intimately, you wouldn't call them friends. You probably haven't had 4 or 5 full length conversations with these people. If they come to you for a reading, have a full length conversation with them beforehand. You want to get an idea of why they want to consult the cards, where are they in their lives, whatever contextual information surrounding the topic and question that they have for the session, the better able you'll be able to read the cards that come out, and then you'll be able to understand, well, why did these cards come out in these positions and what do they mean concerning the Querents situation. This means the difference between you asked me about your career, but relationship stuff is coming up, that versus you're having issue taking a job opportunity because it's not in line and you're not having that conversation with your partner. You guys are both not involved with what the future career for both of you guys looks like with you two in each other's lives. The kind of background information you would want to get from a person, or just honestly also the information that they would be comfortable revealing, really depends on them and what they want to consult with the cards. But a couple of good basics to just cover is what's recently happened in their lives. Have there been any deaths? Are they in a relationship? What brought them here today? And their general feelings at this time in their lives. Oh, and have they recently moved? I usually don't ask what they're looking forward to. That stuff usually comes up in the reading. Number 4, this one's really important. When you're giving readings to people that you know well, that you know intimately, be it friends or family, put aside your ideas, your criticisms of them, and what you think this person needs to work on in their lives. Set aside what you think this person needs to hear about their life and their situation. Don't bring that into the reading. Okay, you first want to consult what the cards have to say. So it can get a little bit difficult reading for people that you know intimately, because We all have opinions. We think we know better, but I have found that when I come in with already an idea of who this person is, I know them, blah, 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 that can hinder the way that I read the cards. It can be kind of confusing to have the cards say one thing and then in my head, this doesn't correspond with how I know this person. Bypass that stuff. First, view the person independently and look at the cards first. Use the meanings of the cards as they're laid down, even if you don't agree with it and your intuition, if it doesn't go along with that, that's fine. Consult the cards first and then use your intuition to relay the message of the cards. So I say this because I've given a reading to somebody and I got the Knight of Swords as her obstacle, but to me it didn't seem like that was her obstacle. I knew her a bit, and then when I talked about the reading afterwards, it turns out that the actual meaning of that card was better than whatever I thought I knew was the case for her life. Just refrain from bringing up your ideas and your feelings about this person and consult more the cards and relay what the cards are saying as opposed to what you think this person needs to hear. Tip number 5, this one's really interesting. It kind of shows how tarot has its own personality. You might have a certain question and the tarot cards might end up addressing and answering a different question. When you ask a question maybe, or somebody else does during a reading, sometimes people want to ask superficial questions or they're afraid to ask a deeper question because it's very personal. Maybe they're just asking something for fun. Maybe they don't even know that there is something else to address. When this happens, and it's not very often in my experience, you might ask a question, say, how do I feel about this person? How do they feel about me? What do I need to work on? And then next thing you know, the cards are really indicating something else, and we end up talking about something else, which is a much deeper issue. If that happens and you cleanse your cards, you shuffled them, you kind of have a nice space to work with, then you can trust that there is a different topic. Hopefully the querent won't lie and they'll admit like this is really relating. So don't be surprised if somebody asks a question, you lay down the cards and you find yourself addressing a deeper underlying problem, situation, a different topic. That just means that we're going to bypass the fluff and the superficial, and we're going to talk about what really needs to be addressed. Number 6, don't abuse the cards. Don't ask the cards questions that you can find out for yourself through introspection. Don't ask the card too many personal questions for yourself in one sitting. I think you can kind of burn yourself out from that, and at some point things just kind of don't make sense and you won't really connect with the cards. No, maybe I could be wrong with this. If somebody else has had a different experience where for hours they just asked like, I don't know, 20 different questions and stuff, and it was just fine, let me know. But what I have found is that start to notice like what you can and can't answer with the cards. Like I've had people ask me like in what time frame will something happen, and that's something that I can't really answer. I can get a general gist if it's the recent past, recent future kind of coming in, but I can't tell you exactly like this is going to happen for sure. I can give you a time frame. You don't want to use tarot instead of your own intuition and your own decision-making faculty in life. It's good to have that level of respect and distance between the two. You can definitely ask tarot questions for clarification if you're genuinely confused about something and you need insight, and you can also ask just for extra validation about something. I know that it's popular to ask tarot, like how things might turn out in the future if you take this job opportunity, if you make this choice, what does that mean? And I think that's all really good and great. I know witches use divination and cards to ask if it's okay to move forward with a certain operation. You just want to make sure there's a time and place when to use tarot, and I don't think that the cards or even your own spirit really respects when it's used in context it doesn't need to be used in. Lastly, tip number 7. Have a clean space for your readings. Make sure that the space is conducive to a reading, that it's respectful to what's about to happen here. Tarot is something that people have been practicing for hundreds, if not thousands of years. We can for sure say for hundreds of years. From personal experience too, like if something doesn't feel right, don't force it. Don't force a reading. There'll be another time and place for things. I did this, for fun, for myself, alone at a concert before the main act comes on. was going to give myself a reading, and I instantly knew this is not the time or place to be doing this. And the cards also reflected that, like, girl, you are not, using your intellect very well right now. So make sure that, your table is clean, that you feel pretty centered. It doesn't have to be very procedural the way that you go about tarot cards. It depends on your skill set, your level, your own practice in this form of divination or other forms of divination, in your own practice of spiritual practices. But I definitely recommend to not just give and do tarot cards just anywhere, dilly dally. You want to cleanse your cards, you want to cleanse your space, you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of the experience, you and the other person involved, if there's another person involved. Okay, so those are my 7 tips for those who are interested and are starting to give readings. So with all that being said, go out there into the world, practice your tarot card readings. It's so much fun. If you have a knack for it, people will tell you, this is like crazy how spot on it is. You just get better with more practice, and hopefully you feel really good about it. Personally, me, when I do readings for other people, it seems to like spiritually level me out. And it's honestly just something that I love to do. Never would have thought, right? Okay, so with that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Comment, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Ooh. Okay, bye.